All right, hello and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. This is Mr. Mitchell making a video for you to show you how to build your robot car. If you have not built it yet, hopefully this video will help you. If you have built it, you can forward your video to the part you need, and I'm going to show you from the very beginning to the very end how to make your whole robot. So let's get started. To begin, if you have no project created, we're going to start a new project, and as always, choose the Vex V5 Mimic here as the target. Language we're going to use is Blockly, the block language we are familiar with. And the name of the project, we're going to make it Robot Car. Robot Car. And we're going to build this project. Let's go. Once it loads, once it decides to load, we're also going to need to change the arena of the robot. And once we're in here, click on the Mimic tab, close these other tabs so we can see things. Leave this one open, and then click on Options, change your arena to the Full Field Arena, and that sets up our robot so we can build it. So once we have our arena set up, we're going to start putting pieces together. And the robot we're going to build has a few base parts. We're going to use some of these common parts, but the main ones we're going to use are in the U-channel library here. We want the largest U-channel object right here, and we want 2 of those. So we're going to put one in, move it around, slide it sideways, and then flip it upside down. We want it to point downward. Right now, the U is pointing up. We want this to point down, and the easiest way to do that, 2 ways. We can either click on this to flip it, or we can use the little rotation here to turn it upside down. Pointing straight down, there's one piece, great. Click again to add another, and the same thing, I'm going to use the rotation tool this time, flip it upside down. I want these about even, so I'm going to make sure they're about even, and then spread them apart. A little bit more. So those are our 2 base pieces. On top of that, we're going to put an angle bracket in the angle library. The very first one here, 2 of these spread across this these 2 bars. So here's one, and again we want this to be turned crossways, so we're going to turn it sideways using the rotation tool. Slide over here, and also we want to flip it upside down. So I'm going to use this, flip it upside down. Too much of an angle, right? Use the little circles on the edges. If you're not getting those tools, remember you're using the arrow tool right here, translation and rotation tool. That lets you rotate and move. So I'm going to move it over like this. Put it right about here. And then I want to get one more of those. Move it. And I want it to rotate this way and upside down again. Looks good. Move it over to here. Just about here. So I have my two bracket pieces angled correctly being put in the robot. So that was the angle bracket, the very first angle bracket, and the very last U-channel piece. Those pieces there. Now I want to go to the common library and attach them together. So I'm going to attach this front piece, I'm going to call this the front, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, 5 spaces up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces up to the center hole right there. So I'm going to put a screw, this 0.375 screw, into the 5th hole on this bracket here. And to do that, I want to use the auto tool to snap it in place. So grab the screw, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th hole, click right there. And now this piece here is going to be my foundation piece. I'm going to attach every other piece to this piece and use this as the basis. I'm not going to make another attachment point over here because I want to attach this bar to this piece here, and then I attach this bar to this piece here, and I grow my pieces one by one. So I'm going to attach this middle hole here to that there, and now I have my first two attachment points, right, like that. I can make it a little bit further down. There's a gap there. Let's go a little bit further down like that. I can even move the screw a little bit further down. Make sure it's exactly going through. Looking great. Now I want to have another screw on this connection point here, because with one piece it's going to start to wiggle and bend. I want to have two to keep it solid. So I'm going to attach another screw to this hole here. Auto tool, screw right there. It's attached, and I want to slide it down a little bit to make sure it's going through, maybe a little bit more. There we go. Looks great. So that's that corner attached. Now I want to do the same over here. And you'll see this piece is a little bit too tall. So I want to move this one down. It's my arrow tool. Move this down a little bit. And I'm going to put the screw this time on this piece, because this piece is attached to my foundation piece here. So I'm building one by one by one. I don't want to put the screw on this, because that's not going to line up correctly. I want to put it on this so that this piece, this cross piece, has to line up with this in the right spot. So I'm going to put my screw on here in the center hole, right there. Oh, use the auto tool. There's my screw here, and I can just click and drag and snap it in place. Now I want the fifth hole on this cross beam here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one right here. And I want to attach this to the screw right there. That's how you do that. Click and move the piece. It's a little bit too tall maybe. Let me move my screw down a little bit. And I can move this here down a little bit as well. Line it up. Looks great. And again, now I've got those two pieces attached. I had two screws here. I want to do the same two screws on this side. Right there. Slide it down a little bit so it's exactly going through. Wonderful. So that's the front bars attached. Now I want to attach the back bar to the two side pieces. So to do that, I'm going to use, again, screws. I'm going to put a screw onto the bar here and onto the bar here, because these pieces here are now like foundation pieces. They are stuck in the correct position. This piece is not in the correct position. This piece I can move around. So I'm just going to move it kind of out of the way. Back there. I want the screws here to go in the fourth hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put a screw in the fourth hole. Make sure I use my auto tool. Screw. 1, 2, 3, fourth hole there. And screw. 1, 2, 3, fourth hole there. Now I align this piece on the very edge. Click on that. Make sure the circle's there. Click and drag onto the screw hole. And both pieces now are lined up, because these two pieces are lined up from the front bar, so the back bar automatically lines up correctly. I can put them in a little bit more. Let's poke the screw in a little bit more. Great. And the same over on this side here. Poke these in a little bit more. Looks great. And again, just like I did with the front piece, I only have one screw attached to here and one screw on here. I need two pieces. I need two screws. So I'm going to do another auto tool screw into this corner hole here. Make sure that's slid inside. And same thing on this other side over here. Screw attached to the auto tool. Make sure you slide in right there. And great. So those are the bars. Next, I need my spoiler piece in the very back. That is another U-channel. Another one of the largest U-channels. Click on that. Use my arrow tool to move it around. Slip it sideways. And move it in place. I need to go up a little bit more. I'm going to push it back a little bit so I have room. And it's going to attach to the very back holes. This hole here and this hole here. So let me put a screw in there using the auto tool again. Yeah, keep switching back and forth to those tools. screw in the very back hole right there, and screw in the very back hole right there. And then again, use the auto tool. I can click on this, the very end hole here, click and drag, and snap it in place. It's a little bit tall. Let me slide it down a little bit. There we go. Looks great. And this side over here is automatically lined up as well. Slide the screw in a little bit here, slide the screw in a little bit here. And again, I need an extra piece, extra screw, to make sure this is solidly attached. So I'm going to do another screw in the corner here. Make sure that's slid in all the way. That looks pretty good, actually. Slide it out a little bit. And then one more over on this side here. Screw attached to that corner. And slide you in a little bit. There we go. So that's the body of our robot. All the screws attached, right? Building up from one piece to the next, to the next, to the next, until you have everything attached, right? Front piece first, then the back piece, then the very back piece. Next, we're going to attach the wheels. To do the wheels, we're going to need this 4-inch shaft here, 4 of those on each one, and this 3 1/4 inch wheel right here. The shafts go on the bottom row. If you put them somewhere else, that's fine, but I'm going to put them on the bottom row, 4 spaces back. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Using the auto tool, again, click on the shaft. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces back. Click there and attach it. Now, I want it to go about halfway, so I need to slide it about halfway, like that. It's pretty good. And then the same on the back here. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces on the bottom row. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces right there. And again, slide it so it's about halfway through. Great. And the same on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you notice, the auto tool automatically snaps one edge of the bar in the hole here. In this case, I need to slide it the other way. And so it's just interesting to note what sides become attached with that auto tool. Keep that in mind. Sometimes it can be useful. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and slide this piece in that way. Whoops, about there. It's about halfway. It looks great. So now my parts are attached. My axles are attached. Let's attach the wheels. One wheel to each piece. If your robot is too low to the ground, you can select this box area tool, click on that, click and drag to select the whole robot, and then the arrow tool will let you move the whole robot up and down. So if your robot was too low, you want to make the whole thing higher, you can use this tool to set a good height. That looks pretty good for me. Enough room for my wheels. So let's add the wheels. Use the auto tool again to attach the 3 1/4 inch wheels. One right here. Click, and one right here. And then click. Oopsies, not the motor. Click. And again, if I clicked accidentally, I can just click the green circle and drag it to the wheel. And one more right there. So here's our robot. Now, I want to test this to make sure it's not going to fall apart. It should be fine, but let's just double check. Click on the test drive. And that's going to set the robot turning. Very good. Looks like it's holding together, not falling apart. Now, I cannot control the robot yet because we have no motors. So I'm going to attach the motors next. Let's get our motors on this robot. We're going to put one motor in the front wheel here and one right here. So to attach the motors, we're going to use the V5 motor down here. Again, the auto tool, and we're going to snap the auto tool, the motor onto this axle here and onto the axle here. And then we're going to have to sort of adjust the motor's position and angle, all these things. So click on the motor and snap it onto this axle right here. Now, this is clearly the wrong direction, right? Still, we're going to click and attach it, and we're going to try to flip this motor the other way. I can click on this arrow here. flips the motor that way, which is good, but still not exactly what I need. I need my motor now, these two little circles here, to be on this side over here. So I need to click on the axle here. I get this blue ring. I can click on this blue ring, rotate the motor 180 degrees to be the other side right there. And that's where I need my motor to be, right here. I clicked on that blue ring, and these two circles are now on the right side. I want them a little bit closer. I want this to be a little bit closer to this border here, to the bar here, so they can attach. So I'm going to click on the thing and drag it a little bit forward. That's pretty close. Doesn't need to be exactly touching, but close enough is fine. Very good. So that motor is attached. Do the same on this side. Click on the motor, use the auto tool, snap it in place. This one is already in the right direction, which is great. I just need to now rotate it using the ring to horizontal. There you go. And these are positioned pretty good, right up against the edge. If I want to move it backwards, again, I can make it go a little bit backwards. Nope, no, that's the wrong one. There we go. There we go, there's a little space, that's helpful. So there's my two motors. And now you can see on the side here, I see it has motor 1 and motor 2. So those are my two motors that I've attached here and here. Last thing I need to do is attach them with some screws. So I need to attach this here and here, two screws. So I'm going to use the 0.375 inch screw. Click and auto tool attach there. Make sure it slides into both the motor, right? There it is, attached to the motor and the bar, right? Through the circle here and attached to the bar. And the same on this side here. Attach it and slide it in so that it is touching both the circle and the bar. Maybe move it a little bit this way. There we go, all lined up. So there's that motor attached. And the other motor, I need to do the same thing over here. So let's zoom in to this side. These two circles here, again, using the auto tool, 3.75 inch screw, attach it there and slide it in. And attach it here and slide it in. And just making sure. Great, both circles are attached to the screws, and the screws are attached to the bar. So that's my robot with its motors. Now if I click the test drive, it's not going to drive around. It's going to be stable until I turn one of the motors on. And there we go, and I can turn the motor on. It's going to spin around, and I can do this motor to make it go where I want it to go. But this is not helpful. The last thing we need now to do is set up the drivetrain so that we can control the robot more precisely using the WASD keys. The drivetrain connection, if you're looking for the drivetrain connection, that's down at the bottom here, drivetrain. It says configure drivetrain here. We're going to click on that little gear icon. If you want, you can also adjust some of the motor options here. You can change the gear setting for the motor. It's really the only option you have. If you want a strong gear, high torque, or a fast gear with low power, high speed, low speed, but high power. We use the middle one. Average is probably the best. But to set up the drivetrain, we're going to click on the drivetrain configuration down here, enable the drivetrain, and there's a lot of options here. The only option we need to adjust right now is the left motor and the right motor. I'm going to choose left motor, motor 1, right motor, motor 2. I don't know if that's correct. We'll find out. And the reverse polarity, one of these two needs to be checked. Only one. Because the two motors are facing opposite directions, right? Two motors are facing opposite directions, so we have to adjust one to be reverse of the other so that when they spin, it doesn't just go in a circle. So let's click OK and test drive. And here's my WASD keys, and I want to make sure this goes forwards and backwards. So here's my forward direction. W should go, nope, so that's not correct. A and D are correct, left and right is correct, but the forward backward is incorrect. So I need to adjust my drivetrain. So click on the gearbox. Let's switch motor 1 and motor 2. Switch motor 1 and motor 2. Left motor, right motor. Click OK, and then test it again. Let's see. Nope, forward, backward still doesn't work correct. And left and right also don't work correct. So maybe if I switch the polarities. Motor 1, motor 2, reverse polarity like that. And one more time. There we go. Forward, backward, left, and right. My robot is working correctly now. I can drive my robot wherever I need it to be. And my robot is complete and set up correctly. So there you go, everybody. That is how you set up this robot. Build your robot using the motors, the bars. Make sure you use enough screws. If you have some trouble, send me a message on Schoology. I'm happy to help. Help build your robot. Set up your drivetrain. Make sure it's configured in this method here, or whatever makes your robot go in the right directions. All right, everybody. So good luck. I will see you next week. Have a safe and happy Easter. Bye for now.